What's going on, everybody? This is Sheets, and I'm not sure if I presume Bobby was joining, but sometimes he sends me a message saying that he wasn't going to make it, and I sometimes miss it. I'm not sure, but I am going to get things started, I guess. Last night was not a good night, DFS-wise, in the NBA for me, at least, so hopefully you guys enjoyed the – oh, there he is.
Oh my God, you started?
Oh. Yeah, I didn't know what was – you know what? I usually confirm that I'm going to be here, and then I said, oh, my God, if I forgot to mention it to you, maybe – did you say something that you weren't going to be in? So I just figured I would just start it.
Yeah, no worries. Cool.
So it just started literally 5 seconds ago.
Yeah. Anything turn around for you last night at all?
No.
Yeah, same here.
All right, so again, so Bobby's here, so we're gonna try to get back on the right track with tonight's slate. You take a look at it yet?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna take a little break from playing, to be honest. It's been just absolutely just gut-wrenchingly brutal. Like literally like one winning day in 17, maybe 18. And it's just been horrible. I've got to reassess some of my process. I've also got some things to take care of here, so I've got a bunch of site stuff I got to work on. I'll still go through it, and I'll act as if, but I'll throw something in the cheap buy-ins, and you know me, by the end of the day, I probably end up playing. But it's just been so awful. I feel like these are the times where I usually tell myself I need to take a little bit of a breather. And
one of the things you have to do is you have to reach out to Steve for me.
Steve who? Oh, my dad. I did. Oh, yeah. You know what? I haven't seen my dad, actually. I'll try. He's been on his boat.
I emailed. I CC'd you, I think.
Yeah.
But yeah. But okay. So let's take a look at it and see if we can't at least give some people an idea of what's good today.
All right. Let's do it. Let's jump into it. What do you got first? Minnesota, Indiana? Yeah.
I have Minnesota, Indiana, and right off the bat, I have some Minnesota stuff. I think that Cat is out for like a while. Yeah. So, I mean, my gut instinct before I even looked at projections is play Naz Reid. But let's just take a look and see what projections actually give us. So, early, I'm seeing $4,300 Kyle Anderson at 50% ownership. I'm seeing Gobert, obviously, good play at 7,500. I see Mike Conley, actually, pretty decent at 5,200. And then Naz Reid, I have him at 5,400 with only a 29-point projection. It doesn't sound right. So I guess I would ask you about that. But yeah, with Cat out, all the Minnesota guys get a boost, and certainly Anthony Edwards, even though the projections are not supporting it, he's always in play under 9K. So playing Indiana, I imagine the totals through the roof. Or certainly, as we discussed yesterday, pace up spot. Minnesota is probably one of the lower pace teams against one of the higher pace teams. So figure this makes sense. And as far as Indiana though, I'm not getting anything on the Indiana side, but definitely all this Minnesota stuff. Well, what's your instincts here?
Yeah, it's I think that Minnesota, I honestly feel like they haven't updated the projection or something on Anthony Edwards. It feels like it should be a lot higher. I like I like Reid as my favorite. Kyle Anderson, totally fine, just going to be mega chalk. Reid, I don't think might not. If this projection is accurate, maybe he won't get the ownership that I think he should. So I would say, those two right off the bat, I think you can play them together, but there's a way, I think it's reasonable to fade Anderson and some and play Reid with Edwards or Gobert. Probably with Edwards if you're going to play Reid, and probably with Anderson and Gobert if you're going to go that way. But I definitely think you want at least two of them. I also wouldn't cross off Mike Conley and Jaden McDaniels either. I think this is, obviously a great spot for them. And if I was max entering, I would have exposure to basically everybody who's doing Monty Morris and Nickeil Alexander-Walker, just because that's a big thing. Just Cat being out, and it's a fast-paced game. I feel like there's a lot of guys, but I feel like the main ones would be Reid, Anderson, Edwards and Gobert. And I probably would have 2 of those in every lineup if this slate started right now. On the other side, Obi Toppin for some potentially fringy type of value, but that's pretty much all I have on the other side. One of these days, Halliburton's going to put up 60-something again. I don't mind the Siakam idea, but I just personally would rather focus on the Minnesota side.
This Brooklyn-Detroit game is pretty weird. I shouldn't say that. I mean, but I have, with Cam Thomas out, Ben Simmons out, all these guys out, I'm getting like a real big ownership projection and point per dollar projection on Lonnie Walker, and he's questionable, by the way. So with all that said, I suppose that we can make life easy on ourselves and just play Michael Bridges at 7,100. We could go back to Dennis Schroeder at 6,100. And yeah, I suppose if Lonnie Walker plays, he's going to look like a good play. And then on the Detroit side, I see Simon Fontecchio at 4,200 with a decent projection. And you could always, as far as I'm concerned, play Cade Cunningham. So is this going to be a thing, like the stack the Brooklyn-Detroit game? Is that actually what's happening?
It would make a lot of sense. Cam Johnson's out, Ben Simmons out, Cam Thomas out. So, but the problem is they play a lot of other guys. I think Bridges would be my favorite. Probably a cash game play if you're playing right now. I actually think almost definitely he's going to end up looking like a cash game play. Schroeder would be my second favorite. Lonnie Walker, we just have to wait on the Daron Sharp and Lonnie Walker news. It's an early game, so we'll find out. But if Lonnie Walker's out, Jalen Wilson will probably be a really strong play. So right now I have Bridges and Schroeder with a question mark on Walker. Dennis Smith Jr. might be in the mix if those guys are out or either one of them. So really want to wait on finding that out. But right now I think we can safely say Mikal Bridges is a solid play. On the other side, I like both Cunningham and Asar Thompson quite a bit. But Fontecchio would be a little bit a notch beneath those guys. I think Fontecchio is a little thin, to be honest with you. They have 700 bodies that they play. I mean, look down the list. You have Fournier, Sasser, Wiseman, Ivy. So actually, it's only 9 that they've got projected. Usually they play like a 10 or 11. What's missing? Oh, Grimes, I guess, is missing. I mean, it's fine. The Fontecchio, I'm not doing it. As of right now, I wouldn't be doing it. But I do like Cade and Asar Thompson quite a bit.
Miami, Dallas, I'm not getting anything on the value side. But Luka always, it's not going to be the highest projected player on the slate every day, even though it's against Miami. And I guess I would ask you: is this, is this a Butler night? So nothing, not like anything really pure in this game. But you have any hunch of maybe playing Butler? Maybe. Absolutely.
I really like Butler. I need to see how the lineups stack out, but so far we've got a nice blend of some value and I would consider putting Butler as a priority. I mean, he's been really, really good since the break, and actually even going right before that, they've been winning games. It's Dallas who don't play a lot of defense. The game should be competitive. They're an underdog. It all lines up to me to Jimmy Butler. And if I wasn't playing Butler, I would try to get exposure to Rozier and Bam Adebayo. That's just me personally. But, yeah, I think that Butler's a really strong play. And then, look, I've said it over and over again. And yesterday it really cost me because, that it turns out that play we made with Giannis, my blowing up my lineups is literally what cost me cashing because I actually was, the lineup made a charge, but Giannis with 42 is not going to do. Luka doesn't get those numbers. Like, you know what I mean? Luka doesn't have these bad games. He has a down game, so he 5Xs for you?
Right.
So I always think Luka, if you can get to him, is a great play, but I certainly wouldn't go way out of my way to try to make tonight the night. You know what I mean? Like, if we like the value enough, yes, I think it's totally a reasonable play, but I'm not naturally getting there. I still think that until he's 13,000, you could make an argument that you should play over the field every night on him, just because you're really not hurting yourself. It's really, I mean, I guess it's slate dependent, but I like him. I just think tonight of all nights, I'm definitely not trying to go out of my way to get him. But I do think he's probably going to 5.5x or 6x or whatever, a 12K price tag, and that's interesting. But there is value. So it's just a matter of how you want to build. Do you want to go with the value spend ups like Mikal Bridges, and I actually think Jimmy Butler is one of those, Anthony Edwards, or do you want to go all the way up to Luka? I think I'm more on the side of going in the 7 to 8 to 9K range myself today.
Okay, so the way the slate breaks out, as you can see, there's like a 7 o'clock, a 7 o'clock, a 7:30. Then there's a break before the late night games, but there's a 9 and 3 10s. Yeah, it looks like a 9 and 3 10s.
Yeah.
So Toronto against Phoenix, you have Booker is out. I don't know if he's been out, but nonetheless, I'm not really getting too much from anything in this game, actually. Like the closest thing I have is like a Kelly Olynyk maybe, but that's like way down on my list. So I don't know. What am I missing here? Oh wait, Nurkic 7,200. So that would be the guy that I would look at.
I like Beal the best.
Beal, okay.
But I don't think that there's a must. I think Beal Durant. I'm okay on Nurkic, but I'm not like. Again, wouldn't try to go out and get him, but Beal and Durant I think are pretty solid. I guess Beal I just said because of the pricing, but I certainly think that playing Durant is totally reasonable here. I expect those guys to have decent games. A great matchup. The only question is if it ends up being a blowout, but I don't even think that Phoenix is good enough for us to say that right now. So I think that both Durant and Beal are heavily in play. Like, I just think that if I ended up with either of them, I'd be happy with it. But again, not quite building around them. So I didn't put them as my priority guys yet.
Possible NBA Finals preview in Denver tonight. Boston at Denver. We'll see. Jokic is very reasonably priced at 11.4. Obviously, it's always a tough matchup against Boston. Tatum is 9,500. He's as usual low owned. I just don't think much anything from this game is going to be a priority for me, though. I mean, just everybody seems to be okay priced. But listen, if you want to play Jokic instead of Luka, I'll support it. I don't know.
Yeah. This is a great real life basketball game.
Yeah.
And I guess, if I had a take, I really don't, if this is accurate, can that really be right? Let me double check something. Is that they're Boston? They didn't make Boston the favorite. Get out of here if they did. That's crazy. No, they didn't. 1 point favorite for Denver. Okay, give me all the Denver in the world. I just think that's I don't care what happens exactly tonight. I really think that just bet Denver at home in this spot, and Denver is going to win this game 75% of the time at least. I really think that. Everybody, I mean, it sort of rates out similarly. I guess because it's a big matchup, and you could make an argument for Tatum. That's one thing, I guess. I guess you could make an argument. I think that it's actually pretty reasonable. It's not quite enough of a discount off Luka. It's close. The 11-4 versus the 12-2. But given, and I actually don't mind this matchup for Jokic. I think Jokic and Murray are both decent. Again, a lot of plays you have to sift through. I like the other guys better. Nobody's a priority here, but I think Jokic and Murray are totally solid plays. In fact, when you see that Murray's only 800 more than Bradley Beal, I think I'd rather play. I think it's pretty close between. I mean, those are different prices. Obviously, it's 800's a lot, but I do think Murray and Jokic are both really interesting here. I don't know what I'll end up doing with them as of right now. I wouldn't plan to play them, but I definitely think they're interesting.
Okay, so boy, oh boy, I just ran a Saberson build. You're never gonna believe what it looks like, but we'll get to it in a minute. San Antonio at Sacramento with no Wembanyama. All right. So I imagine a couple of things are going on here. Number one, we have significant blowout risk, and number two, we have significant value on San Antonio. And starting with a $4,300 Zach Collins is kind of rough, you know. It's kind of rough to fade. Keldon Johnson, $4,900. That looks pretty good. Sohan's always good enough, $5,100. Trey Jones, 53. Vassell, 73. Like, all these guys are in play if you think that they're going to get their, you know, get their complement of minutes. And I don't even, with Collins, I don't think it matters. I mean, like, what's the least he plays? You know,
right.
You know, this is a tough fade, honestly.
I agree.
On Sacramento, yeah, I mean, if the game stays close, you could get like smasheroos out of Fox and Sabonis for sure. I'm getting a point per dollar projection out of Trey Lyles here for some reason, so I figured I would ask you about that. How did Monk end up, by the way, last night after that first half? He did pretty well. He got 18 in the second half too, so that's yeah, he's playing really well.
It's against the Lakers. You just write that one off.
All right. So what do you?
All the other games that Monk had recently were without Fox. The San Antonio, Zach Collins and Keldon Johnson will both be priorities. Kind of curious who they end up starting. If you're not going to play Zach Collins and you want to get cute, I think you play Dominic Barlow. And I don't even think that's that cute, to be honest with you. I think other people are going to do the same thing. Sohan would be next for me, followed by Trey Jones, followed by Champagnie. I would have exposure to all of them in multi-entry, and Keldon Johnson too. But the ones that I would prioritize would be Collins and Johnson. And, you know, you get Sacramento on a back-to-back at home. They're probably still going to kill the Spurs, but maybe not. It is a back-to-back. They had the game against the Lakers last night. And then the other side, again, like back-to-back, but it's hard not to like Fox and Sabonis both a little bit. Trey Lyles has been getting more run lately. They've also been getting criticized for getting more run. And my same friend who's friends with Mr. Yang is good friends with Mr. Lyles. So I wonder if at the same night they back-to-back nights they could be on the must-win GPP lineups.
Yeah, Mr. Yang won everybody all the money last night,
and he didn't even do anything all that special. He just was there. But that's sort of where I see the Trey Lyles thing tonight. I don't think you need to do it. They've just been giving him more, some down the stretch minutes, more than they had been before. I personally find the projection I guess the projection number is okay, but this guy hasn't scored more than 16 fantasy points in all these spots. I don't know. I probably would be more inclined to fade that bit of chalk with some of the other stuff we have. But if you wanted to do a couple spend ups, if you want to play like Luka and Jokic, which by the way is possible tonight, you could play a Trey Lyles. But I like the Fox and Sabonis side of this thing. I think both of those guys are really good plays.
So we have the Bulls against the Warriors. This is actually a revenge from the 1975 Western Conference Finals when Rick Barry got them past Chicago when Chicago played in the West. I'm sure they've been looking forward to this game for 50 years. With respect to fantasy, I'm not seeing anything in this game. You got anything at all for me from here?
No, don't be surprised if I would say don't be surprised if the Warriors need to win games. I'd say don't be surprised if they set somebody on a back-to-back, but I don't know if they're going to do that. And Chicago, Chicago might actually sit somebody. I guess only Torrey Craig's questionable, but they need to win games too. Yeah, I mean, if it was a different slate, I would give the usual spiel about how all the Bulls guys, one of them is going to get there. But I just think that there's too many other spots you really like here that I don't think you need to do that. So I've got there's a bunch of interesting plays on this slate. It's actually kind of a nice slate. This is the last game you have, right, Sheets?
Yep.
So I can sort of spew into my.
Yep.
My So my like as core guys, like the guys who I really would try to get heavy on today: Collins, Naz Reid, Kyle Anderson, Mikal Bridges, Cade Cunningham, Keldon Johnson. Now all those guys are pretty chalky, but that's what you're building your base around. I sort of like some of the other plays we talked about. I like the Jimmy Butler idea, and I like Anthony Edwards. So like Butler and Edwards to mix with those players in some sort of a way. That sort of would be the way I'd be building right now.
Yeah. So the one I said I did a Saberson build and be kind of surprised at who the top owned guy is. Actually, you wouldn't be. It was the FanDuel one that surprised me a little bit, but. In the DraftKings one, my initial build is getting me 100% of both Kyle Anderson and Zach Collins, and that's without simming it or anything like that. And then the other guys we mentioned, like Keldon Johnson, Rudy Gobert from Minnesota, Michael Bridges from Brooklyn, a good amount of De'Aaron Fox actually, which is interesting. And aside from that, it's pretty much the guys we mentioned. I only want to mention it because the FanDuel thing, because it was surprising to me. The top owned guy that I'm getting on FanDuel at like 96% is Kelly Olynyk. And I went and looked at his price. It's not like it's that cheap. I mean, it's $6,500. So I don't know exactly what that's all about. We'll take a.
He's starting. There's not as much value over there.
Okay.
I think that's probably the reason.
Yeah. But aside from that, as usual, we're just gonna have to see what's up a little bit later, and yeah, that's pretty much all I got.
All right, and my dad just said he's going to respond today. Sorry, he said he apologizes.
Yeah, get me. I'll talk to you for a second once we
okay.
Go get off.
All right, you can go ahead.
I'll do it, right? Okay. Let's see.